What is up, everybody? Joe Carlton here with the Sports Affiliation. I'm here with two-time or multiple primetime winner, two-time Silver Bullet champ, Joey Brown, and other fellow high-stakes NSFC guy, Josh Bolin. Dan Jewett will be joining us in the second half of the show. He had, family commitments to deal with, but he will be joining us at the end to give us a couple of his key takeaways. We're going to be talking about week 5 takeaways, basically, and maybe some waiver wire targets along the way. And Dan is in the chat. What's up, Dan? You'll be listening on the drive home. Talk to us soon. Gotcha, man. Drive safe. Don't crash. End up with a black eye like me. From the airbag. The airbag will do it to you. No. Yeah. What's up, Jamie? What's up, Andrew? Appreciate everybody joining us in the chat. We're going to get started right away, and we're going to start with my New England Patriots because what an impressive win. I'm proud of the team. I didn't have the cojones to pick them in the pick'em, but I had a feeling. I'm not surprised that they won. I had a feeling that they were good. They always play Buffalo tough. I knew with the healthy Christian Gonzalez, which is very key for our team, that they were going to make things tough on Josh Allen. And they squeaked out the 23-20 win despite leaving points. I thought they left points on the table in the first half. I thought it should have been at least 10-0 or 10-3 or 13-3 going into the second half. The play calling was kind of abysmal in the first half. I don't know why they wanted to run the ball. I think they wanted to dirty it up, maybe just get to the second half, keeping it close. If that was their mission, I guess it worked out, so I can't complain too much. But I thought that they could have won this game. They could have been in control of this game a lot more than they were. But with that being said, Drake May was kind of disappointing for fantasy purposes. He was 22 for 30. He did have 273 passing yards. He only chipped in 12 rushing yards on 3 attempts. No touchdowns, no interceptions. I think the game script kind of called for, attacking Buffalo with the run, especially around the red zone area. They've given up 7 touchdowns this season. Where is it? Here's the stats. Yeah, Buffalo is in the back end against for rushing yards. They've given up the 3rd most rushing yards to their opponents. So I just think that, that's kind of why Hunter Henry had a bit of a down game. He did have 2 catches for 46 yards. He would have had a touchdown, but he dropped the ball. He released a little bit late, and he couldn't quite get his paw on that 2-yard touchdown pass that he could have had. But we're still trusting Hunter Henry. There's no reason to be benching him. He's still a top 5 tight end, and we can continue to play him. We did see Antonio Gibson get hurt on a special teams play. It's looking like he's going to miss some time. That's probably going to allow Trevion Henderson to get more looks than he has. Yesterday, we had Ramondre get 7 carries for 14 yards and 2 touchdowns. Henderson had 6 carries for 24 yards. He did play a lot more after the Gibson injury. I do think that, Vrabel's been playing it slow. It's been very frustrating, especially if you took Trevion Henderson early in your fantasy football draft. And if you're a New England Patriots fan, you want to see the second round pick. They drafted him in the second round you want to see him get in there. He's explosive. He's a big play threat. But I think, patience is key. I think his time will come. Ramondre, despite the fumbles, is still going to be leaned on. He does have a role on this team. Mike Vrabel talks about it all the time. Nobody on this team is a 3-down workhorse back. Ramondre is great in pass protection. He's great in the red zone when he's holding on to the football. He did have two rushing touchdowns. And I think that eventually, Trevion will get going. But it's always going to be probably a 50-50 split going forward. Stephon Diggs, 10 catches, 146 yards on 12 targets. Major target share. He's currently the wide receiver 27 in points per game, just under 13 points per game. He is a true wide receiver 1. No, he is not washed. Anybody who thought he was washed, think again, because he's just getting started, it looks like. And he looks pretty damn motivated. Last time I seen him this motivated was, during the playoffs for Buffalo, and kind of reminds me of when Minnesota made playoff run back in, forget what year it was, when he had that play, last second play, the end of the game where he took it to the house. We have a focus, Stephon Diggs. I'm putting him in my lineup every single week. He's definitely a high end. I think he's a high end wide receiver 3, solid and even higher flex. He's in the lineup every week. Joe, you want to talk about your disappointment in Drake May? Because I know that you started him in a couple of leagues.
Yeah, it was a little bit. He was better in reality football than he was fantasy last night, but he's been good all year. I mean, it was just game script, and I should have knew that going in that game. You're trying to keep Josh Allen off the field, as much as possible, but he'll be all right. I think Antonio Gibson's out for the year.
Yeah, is he done for the year? That's
ACL. Yeah, he's done.
We see you smiling, Joe. Antonio Gibson's out for the year. That means more Trevion. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, it's sad to. I'm not smiling because he got hurt.
It's the only way. No, I'm not saying that, but it's the only way that we were going to see Trevion finally get some more carries.
Yeah, it's going to speed up Trevion's finally becoming relevant. Pete's in the chat. What's up, Pete? All right, so. Josh, why don't you start us off with one of your takes, with one of your key takeaways from Sunday's game?
I'm gonna give Dan some props real quick, because a couple weeks ago, after Stephon Diggs had his 3-catch game against the Steelers, talk was kind of down on him, but Dan said hang in there. He sees a path, and maybe the Buffalo game is a high point for him. They play Buffalo again this year, so it won't be in Buffalo. But for the recovery time that Diggs has on that ACL, he looks incredible. I mean, that's truly, it's really unbelievable how good he looks. And almost had 2 touchdowns last night. Just came up a little short. So, but my first take on the, we staying with the Patriots, or are we going into our?
You can finish up your Patriots thoughts if you want, and then you can segue right into your first take.
Yeah. So I'm with Joey Brown and everybody else that had Drake May. We had him in some leagues, and it was disappointing to see that the fantasy output wasn't there. But he's solid. He's so impressive, and I think that that game last night is going to be one of the outliers. We're going to see consistency out of him, and we knew it was going to be a tough game, and that's why we chose to go with him, because he was consistently putting up mid to high 20s there. So it's hard to bench that. Anytime you got to roll with it, and just know that there's going to be some times that guys aren't going to pop.
And to go along with that, Buffalo couldn't never get him into a throwing mode either. I mean, they could never get a big lead, so they'd have to change up their offense a little bit in that game also. So Buffalo looked bad. James Cook, which he's been good all year too. He was bottled up last night. So
JC's acknowledging my hockey award. I was the defensive player of the week. That's where the black eye come from. If anybody's wondering, I'm not wearing makeup. That is a orange hockey ball hitting me dead square in the left eye off a deflection. It fired me up. I didn't go down. I didn't stop the play. It fired me up. We continued. We continued play. I ended up sending a guy in on a breakaway, scored a goal. So it's all good. We won the game. We beat an undefeated team. I won myself a $10 Amazon gift card, which I'll get next Saturday. And so enough about that. Enough about the street hockey talk. Let's get back onto the Week 5 fantasy football reactions. So go ahead, Josh.
All right. So my first reaction is Dallas Cowboys. Going into the game, expecting see Pickens have another big week,
Rachel.
and to our surprise, Dak's got a new toy in Flournoy. I don't know what it means moving forward. He had 6 catches for 114 yards. He did have 2 catches a couple weeks ago against the Bears on 3 targets, and he had 21 yards that week. And then last week against Green Bay, he had 2 catches. So he's been sneaking in and getting a couple kind of under the radar targets. But CeeDee Lamb's going to be coming back. I think he was in for was he in for Turpin? So I don't know how long Turpin's out, but he looked good. He looks like somebody that needs to that earned some more playing time yesterday. So I don't know. Talking about waiver wire this week, I don't know what kind of money to really put on him because with CeeDee Lamb coming back, I don't know what kind of volume he might see, but he's definitely somebody to watch. If Turpin's still out, might be somebody if you're needing a streamer or something like that, somebody to throw a little bit of money at to get in your lineup with all the injuries and waivers or bye weeks.
I mean, Dak's playing as good as anybody at the quarterback position. I mean, he really is. I mean, I know Joe drafted him in some spots. I didn't have him anywhere, but he's looking good. I mean, like Josh said, Ryan, that guy would be a good ad. But this week is a tricky week of ads. I mean, you have to really sit and give it some thought this week on a lot of players that we'll talk about.
I love Dak's outlook for the rest of the season. I feel like this year's Cowboys is like last year's Cincinnati Bengals. The defense gives up points in chunks, and Dak's going to just have all the pass attempts. The Javonte Williams has been pretty damn consistent. One of the best values in fantasy drafts this year. He was going, around the 8th, 9th, sometimes the 10th round. And he's a very solid RB2 right now. So, yeah, love the takes. Love the take, Josh. Flournoy. I wouldn't bid all that much on him, like you said. This could be a lot of times we get one week wonders. So especially with Dallas, we know Turpin can give us a startable week at any given point, but we just don't know when. You're not really confident in starting them. So, Jake Ferguson is the tight end 1. CeeDee Lamb eventually comes back. George Pickens has been pretty good. So. There is a lot of mouths to feed for sure. Yeah. Joey, why don't you give us one of your reactions?
I'm gonna go back to the Thursday night game. I mean, San Francisco, Kendrick Bourne, he's really good. He looks the part, which it goes back to New England when Mac Jones was there. He's one of them. How many games is he gonna stay with Mac Jones? I know there's a lot of money going to be spent this week on him, and I thought about it myself, but you have to ask yourself, when's Purdy coming back? Do you want to blow all that fab on him, even though 10 receptions for 142? I mean, that's a wide receiver 3, high end, low end 2. If he keeps that production up with Mac Jones, I mean, do we see quarterback controversies? I know Mac Jones is saying not, but we'll see that. Like we was talking earlier, I mean, turf toe ain't going away anytime soon. So
it could be a lingering injury for Brock Purdy for sure. George Kittle is coming back as well. Brandon Ayuk will eventually be back, we think. I don't know. Every time we hear a good report, it's followed by still not ready and nowhere close to ready. So I don't know what to make of Ayuk, but
yeah,
I think eventually he'll be back. Jawan Jennings, he's been in and out of the lineup. He's been out for a couple of weeks now. I'm not sure when he's due back, but these are all concerns for Kendrick Bourne for sure. I think that if you're in a bind, if Kendrick Bourne is going directly into your lineup in week 6, you might want to bid up to get him. That's just my 2 cents on it. Otherwise, if you're all set there, or if you got somebody on your bench that's worthy of a plug-in play, then I wouldn't overspend to get him. But if he's going directly into your lineup, I think you have to make the bid to get him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The player is great. I mean, I just hope that. Be honest with you, I mean, you kind of wish Mac Jones would keep the job for a while, just because
Right.
it's the hand system. I mean, anybody who plugs into that is going to do good. But Bourne is good, but like I said, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm like Josh. I think it's going. I think Purdy be out longer than what we think. I mean, they're 4-1. They keep winning. He may not make no change right now. So Bourne may be the man, even with them guys coming back.
I mean, as long as Mac Jones is putting up numbers and they're the offense is fluid, and they're winning ball games, then you let Brock rest and because that's really what he needs. Because if they keep bringing him back, it could be an every other week thing with him and Mac.
Nice. Before we move on, I want to shout out to Tootsie Pop Rachel. Appreciate you joining. I am going on her. She's doing a co-ed pod tomorrow night. I will be on that. She invited me. I'm looking forward to that. Can't wait to see you, Rach. All right, so I'm going to move on to my next take. It involves the Houston running backs. Last week, I told you to spend all your fab on Woody Mox if you needed the running back. And if you did that and you put him in your lineup, you're probably pretty disappointed with me right now. I'll own up to it. I'll own this one. But I will say this. Baltimore, I think it was a game script thing and not necessarily Nick Chubb is the RB1. I think it's definitely a committee. And the approach is going to be game script dependent. Like Baltimore, they were going against Baltimore. They knew Lamar Jackson was out. So they knew that they could, it felt like they definitely wanted to make this a get-right game for C.J. Stroud. And he had a monster game. He threw for 4 touchdowns. We know Baltimore gives up the most yards per play in the NFL going into last week, and I'm pretty sure that they're still, the most. I'm pretty sure that they're number 1 in that category still. And we know that they're susceptible. The way you run against Baltimore is up the middle. So this kind of like screamed the Nick Chubb game. So just going forward, if you're a Woody Mox owner or a Nick Chubb owner for that matter, kind of take a look at the defensive matchup, the implied point totals, all of the factors that you're going to weigh in to determine what kind of a game script it's going to be, and then use that as a tiebreaker. Yeah, if you're going to use Woody, to start Woody Mox or not. I'm not out on him. I don't think that he wasn't worth the fab. Let's face it. If you needed a running back, you were putting some money in on some of the guys that were available the last couple of weeks, and Woody Mox was certainly in that group. So don't be discouraged. I'd still play him. He did, they're splitting snaps right down the middle. Marks had 27, Chubb had 24. Damian Pierce was factored in with 16, and they actually used a fullback in this game. British Brooks is his name. I actually had never heard of him before, but he was on the field mostly to run block. He did have a couple of carries, but Damian Pierce and Woody Marks each had 7 carries. Marks was on the field for 12 passing downs. He was the leader in pass down snaps of the 3. So, like I said, definitely game script dependent. So pay attention to that going forward for your Woody Marks shares. You guys have anything to add on the Houston running back situation? If not, Josh and Joe, then Josh, you can move on to your next takeaway.
I don't have anything to add to that. I think you hit that pretty good. I wish I would have heard that yesterday before I set my DFS lineup. It cost me Woody Marks cost me a free prime time. But I hit the nuts on every other position, and Woody Marks killed me. But that's part of it. Yeah, so my next game that I wanted to talk about was Tampa Bay and Seattle. The last couple of weeks I've talked about Baker. I don't know if there's a more fun player to watch in the NFL than Baker Mayfield. You can watch something else in the first half, but when it's second half Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you need to turn the TV to that channel because he's just magic. But Mika Buka, 7 catches, 163 yards, and a touchdown, and that dude is crushing it. And he's a rookie. Like Joe, you talk about that year 3 breakout for wide receivers. If this dude's doing this now, I can't wait to see year 3. He's crushing it. So. And then on the flip side, you've got JSN that's just doing the same, basically the same thing. He doesn't have the touchdowns on the season that Igbuka's got, but JSN's another one that's just lighting it up. But the person that I really want to talk about in this game is AJ Barner. That dude he's just built like just a complete stud, super athletic, super strong, big frame. And the last couple weeks in the tighter games, Sam Darnold's been looking for AJ Barner. He's got 4 touchdowns on the year, 2 touchdowns this past weekend, and tight end streamer over the next few weeks. I don't know that he's an every week start per se, but he's somebody that's caught my eye the last couple weeks. I don't know. I don't see a lot of things great, but with tight ends, I have been pretty good over the last few years with tight ends, and I like him. So I'm going to be watching him moving forward and see how he fits into the game script, see how Darnold targets him, and they've got a good rookie there in Arroyo too.
So I'm looking at the snap shares right now for the tight ends. AJ Barner played 48 total snaps. Elijah Arroyo played 25 total snaps. And Eric Saubert played 17 total snaps. He's the inline tight end, so, obviously you don't have to worry about him. Arroyo ran 17 routes, played on 17 pass downs, ran 16 routes. AJ Barner played 23 passing downs, and he blocked on 6 of them, so he ran 17 routes. So, outside of JSN, they have Cooper Kupp and Torrey Horton. Torrey Horton was actually only on the field for 29 total snaps, so Barner's on the field more than Torrey Horton. Torrey Horton is like their big play slasher, slot guy, I guess. You
You got a good question there in the comments from Albert. AJ Barner or Mason Taylor rest of season. I gotta go Mason Taylor. I mean, I'm not that big on AJ Barner.
No, it's Mason Taylor. We'll talk about him later. I think that Dan, when he comes on the show, when Dan gets on the show, he picked the New York Jets. We'll talk about Mason Taylor later. Mason Taylor is the clear number 2 target on his team. He's got 28% target share the last 2 weeks. And, he's looking like the real deal at a steal in drafts. I have a ton of Tyler Warren and Tucker Kraft, so I didn't necessarily go after Mason Taylor. If he was available in my leagues and I don't have those 2 tight ends, Tyler Warren and Tucker Kraft, then I probably already rostered him. I was looking to pick him up like in week 2, week 3. I was that's when you first look to cut some of the dead weight that's on your bench from the terrible draft choices that you made on draft day, especially early in the early drafts. There's always dead weight you can get rid of. And if I didn't have Tucker Kraft or Ty Warren, Mason Taylor was a guy I was looking to add cheap early on because I didn't know that he had this type of upside. So, but when Dan comes on, I'll let him go more in depth on it. Joey, why don't you give us the next takeaway?
I think we'll just go to the Chargers. Hampton out. Or even ask the listeners out there, which RB do you all like? I mean, they may be throwing a lot more also. I mean, they may put more on Herbert's plate. I don't know. It may help benefit all the wide receivers. But
well, the offensive line is pretty banged up. If they become one-dimensional, I fear for Justin Herbert's life.
I do too.
So they have to find a way to run the ball. Maybe the guy's not even on the roster right now. I keep hearing a possibility. The two things I've seen today on social media are a possible Gus Edwards signing, and the other is Harbaugh trading for his boy Blake Corum. So because they do have Jacquez Hunter just waiting in the wings deep on that RB depth chart for the Rams. And Kyron's been pretty consistent. So, I mean, they could afford to sell if they wanted to.
Harbaugh, he did claim Haskins off of waivers from
and now Bear Fan Pete's saying Kamara to the Chargers. So yeah, I mean, is the running back on the roster right now? That's a question you got to ask yourself as well.
That's true. I mean, that's another fab question this week. I mean, there's going to be a lot of money, especially me with Hampton. Maybe I just avoid them and try to pick somebody else up. But going back to what you all said a while ago too, this is a good week for tight ends on the wire. Not just the 2 you all mentioned, but there's probably 5 at least.
Cade Otton came out of hiding this week. I mean, he had 4 catches for I think 88 yards or 85 yards, something like that. Been looking for him.
Waller's looked like a beast. Theo Johnson,
Yeah.
I'll talk about Theo Johnson a bit later, man. I'm glad that I talked Joey into playing him. Joey who was the guy you were considering? The dude from Dallas, right? Tolbert. I told you, I was like, do not start Tolbert, Joe. Whatever. I was like, I wasn't totally confident in Theo Johnson. But if I had to pick between Theo Johnson and Tolbert, I told him, I was like, dude, just put Theo Johnson in there. He has a better chance of getting a touchdown. And he ended up with 2. So
yeah, a rookie QB and a tight end are best friends, I bet.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Why don't I go right into that and talk about since we already mentioned it, I'll go right to that, and we'll talk about the New York Giants offense with Jackson Dart at quarterback and no Malik Nabers. We'll start right with the Theo Johnson. He had 6 catches for 33 yards and 2 touchdowns on 7 targets. He played 42 total snaps. He ran 29 routes. He had 21 routes from the slot. He finished with 21.3 PPR points last week. I told you all on the show that he was the better target over Slayton and over Darius Slayton for sure. I think we all know what Darius Slayton is. I didn't expect him to play as bad as he did because, he did get volume when Malik Neighbors was out last season. But we're talking about a whole new team with new quarterbacks, and you got Cam Scatterbull involved now too, who I'm in on going forward just based on game script. I don't expect the Giants to be. I expect them to be playing from behind in most games. Their upcoming schedule is just absolutely brutal too. They got Philly at home, then they go to Denver, then they have to go back to Philly the week after that, and then they get San Fran, and then they get San Fran at home. So the next four.
Who made that schedule? Ouch.
Welcome
to the NFL, Jackson.
Yep, the next 4 games, Jackson Dott's going to be living a tough life for sure. I think he's still going to produce fantasy points. It's probably going to be inconsistent. NFL quarterback play for sure. Those teams are tough to play against, especially when Philadelphia builds a lead against you. Their defense takes it up a notch. They start putting pressure on you, and their cornerbacks, their defensive backs start making plays. And then they use their legs between Jalen Hurts and Saquon to really control the clock and limit your offensive opportunities. So, but Cam Scatterbull, he had six receptions for 45 yards on 7 targets. He also ran the ball 15 times for 59 yards. Tyrone Tracy did practice Friday before being ruled out on Sunday, so there is a chance he can return. But I got to be honest, Joe, and I was talking to Joey about this earlier because I know he's got some Tyrone Tracy shares. I don't think you're ever going to see the volume that he got the first couple weeks. That doesn't mean he's going to be completely phased out. It's still going to be a committee. I still think he gets some early down carries and whatnot. But these game scripts are going to determine which running back gets more touches, I think, at the end of the day. And like I mentioned before the season started, I think Cam Scatterbull can take a beating and Tyrone Tracy can't. So that was my concern, season long between these 2 running backs. I do have shares of both. Early on I was on Tyrone Tracy, and then the more I started to learn about Cam Scatterbull and the New York Giants schedule, because the schedule was brutal. Like they definitely got one of the worst schedules in the NFL. I started to lean Scatterbull out of the 2. So we did see Darius Slayton picked up a hamstring injury. So we know that those usually are good for 1 to 2 week absence. We don't have any. There was no, at least as far as up until this afternoon, Brian Dable didn't give us any info on that injury. There was no practice today. So, but Jalen Hyatt and Bo Collins split the snaps after Darius Slayton exited the game. I'm going to say that neither one of them are fantasy relevant at this point. Moving on, we talked about Theo Johnson. Daniel Bellinger did get 4 receptions for 52 yards on 4 targets, but he was on the field for 22 snaps, and he only ran 7 routes. So he's doing a lot of pass blocking, and so he is the inline guy. Theo Johnson's the one getting the slot targets. If Theo Johnson's available in your league, you need to make a good bid on him. I said it last week. He was going to be. I think he could emerge as a very good red zone target for Jackson Dott, and it actually looks like he might be a go-to guy, Joe. Like you said, rookie quarterback and tight end could be their best friend. So that's my assessment on the New York Giants offense this week going into week 6. If you guys have anything to add, go for it. But I touch everything. I touched everything. All right. All right, so who's next? Does it go to Josh? It goes to Josh next, all right?
Me? All right. I'm going to talk about the Indianapolis Colts for the first time since 2019 when Andrew Luck retired. They've got something more to be excited about than their mascot Blue and Pat McAfee. They're fun to watch, man. They're Jonathan Taylor's crushing it. Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones, whatever you want to call him. He's playing tough. He's not playing outside of his skill set. He's not having. I think Jonathan Taylor and that defense is allowing him to, not have to play hero ball. And it's a lot of fun to watch. They did lose their kicker yesterday. Number one. I think he's the number one kicker in fantasy right now. And what I was reading was ACL and MCL, so he's out. That sucks for him. And good kickers are hard to come by this year, and which doesn't seem like a big deal, but at least in the NFFC, I'm not sure about FFPC and some of the other ones. If you have kickers in those high stakes leagues or not, but good kicker like that's already got 53 points or more in 5 weeks or 4.5 weeks with him getting hurt yesterday. That's a big boost to your team and can be the difference maker, especially with some of the bad kicking we've seen this year. So,
absolutely, I like that.
Rodriguez is somebody to go out and get. I think that's his name, but just trying to throw something different at you there. The wide receivers and running backs are exciting, but when the number one kicker goes down, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I lost him on the Bullet and Hampton, so
man. I didn't know that.
So the kick. So my theory on the kickers, Josh, this is a great point. I love it. Kickers and defenses is an art. People think that you just draft a good defense and a top kicker and call it a season. That's not how it goes. If you have a top kicker and he's got a bad matchup, because or maybe somebody got hurt and their offense is taking a hit, but you don't want to drop them. There's instances where you got to look at your bench and cut bait with somebody to stream a kicker. If you don't, you could drop the kicker too, but just because you have a top kicker doesn't mean you can't pick up another kicker and put him in. I always say this: the goal is in standing scoring and standard kicker scoring and standard defensive scoring. The goal is 25 points. If you can get 25 points between your kicker and your defense, you're in real good shape, because sometimes it fills a hole in your lineup. If somebody that's averaging a 15 PPR points per game gives you a 4 or a 6, having those 25 points makes up the difference, and you don't take a step backwards. Same thing with the defenses. Look 2 or 3 weeks ahead. See what's on the free agent wire. Check out their upcoming schedule. Check out who you have rostered their upcoming schedule. Look and see if you have any dead weight that you can. That's a a position player that you could cut ties with if you don't want to give up the defense that you have. Same deal with kickers, man. It's an art. You should be recycling them in and out all year to maximize your total points, especially in total points contests like the ones we play in. So,
and that's the beauty of the ones we play in, is it's team kicker in NFFC. So you can always pick up another kicker, but that team kicker it's really good. But now I've always been a type, especially kickers and stuff, I would draft a late bye week, so I don't have to deal with it. I would try to get a decent one, but you don't have to drop them early on. But I don't know.
Jay, this is your son, right, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
He doesn't know where the black eye came from.
Bill, yeah, I'll explain it again one more time now that we got people listening. Billy Wasowski texted me and he said, "What's up with your eye, Balboa?" That was at 7:21. I told him it was from an orange hockey ball. So this was before Sunday, Jacob. Saturday I play in an over 30 hockey league. It's a street hockey league. We play on foot, but it's ball. We use the orange, the orange Milek ball. It was a deflection. One of our guys blocked a shot and it ricocheted, hit me dead square in the left eye, bounced in front of me towards the boards. Me and that guy on the other team went after the loose ball. I beat him to it, gave him a little hip check. I sent the pass up the middle. Our guy went in on a breakaway, scored a goal. It was nice. It fired me up. It didn't, it hurt. I'm not going to lie. It hurt. But it fired me up.
Cried a little bit.
It fired me up. It fired me up, man. So that's what happened. It was for the second time. I'll explain it. I wish there was a better, I wish there was a fight involved. I wish I could say I fell down drunk or whatever. It didn't happen. I could definitely use a good punch in the face. That didn't happen. So yeah, it was the hockey ball. Dan is not with us.
What's going on, Joe?
My wife said that's the second time I explained it. But what's up, Dan? Appreciate you joining us late, man. You didn't have to, but we love your presence.
It's been a great show so far.
Yeah, I enjoy talking football with you guys every week, every Monday. This has been a great little ritual. Now that you're here, we're gonna make you talk. So we touched on it.
I started hearing about kickers right away. I'm team band kickers, so no more kicker talk.
You got to pay if they're involved in your scoring system.
I know.
You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. But what do you got for us, Dan? What do you give us one of your key takeaways this week?
Okay. I want to add on to something Joey said too earlier. Really hoping Mac Jones stays in, and we didn't talk about Tonjes. And me and Joey a couple days ago had a nice long conversation about Tonjes, and we ended up starting him in on one of our prime times and got 17, 18 points out of him. So as long as Mac Jones is in there, keep watching Tonjes, especially talk about tight ends today. But first point was the New York Jets. You really hit on the numbers pretty good, Joe, with Mason Taylor. But we are heavily invested in the Jets, and not by design, but we have a lot of Garrett Wilson, a lot of Justin Fields. We have them paired together, I think, on one prime time. I see Josh smiling because he was sending me daggers yesterday during the games, but we got 2 rotos with them stacked. I really like what I saw in the fourth quarter, and I think that's what you're going to see more of. Justin Fields ended up with 32 points. He had 5 points, if I remember right, at halftime. So you got to take the good with the bad with Justin Fields. We know that when we drafted him, we said we knew that. That's why we paired him with Jared Goff. It was a really tough decision yesterday, and it was a really close decision, but happy what I saw with Justin Fields. I was a little disappointed in his running game. It looked like he was scared to run yesterday. I think he only had like 20 yards running. So kind of going to keep my eye on that. But Garrett Wilson shows he's a low-end wide receiver 1. He's just eating the targets up. He's the clear number 1. Took him a while to get going yesterday, but when that touchdown came at the end of the game, I know 2 guys that were celebrating over here in Southern Ohio. But and then Mason Taylor, another guy I want to talk about. Man, what a great 2 weeks. I think you said it, Joe. 25 or 27% target share the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I had him on my side TV, so we weren't listening, but we were definitely keeping our eye on that game. Every time I looked up, Mason Taylor was catching a ball across the middle, 6, 7, 8 yards. I think he had 13 targets. But to me, he's a startable tight end right now, especially going through buys and going through injuries. We have a lot of Mason Taylor as our 2, and he's doing better than our number 1s right now. So we're going to be plugging him in next week. So all around, it was a tough game for the Jets the first few quarters. Fantasy-wise, obviously they lost the game, but the fourth quarter they really made up. And Josh knows I love 2 things in life: ice cold beer and junk points in the fourth quarter. And boy, did they put on some junk points. They all count the same, baby.
You missed one. You missed one. You're missing one, though. There's 3 things you like.
Well, if you say the Bengals.
No, consolidated offenses, and that's what the New York Jets are. They have Mason Taylor, they have Garrett Wilson, they have Breece Hall, and they have Justin Fields. And nobody else does anything. Anything of significance. And Mason Taylor is a tight end 1 going forward. And I think he ends up a top 5 tight end when all is said and done. He played 68 total snaps. He's on the field for 51 passing snaps, and he only blocked on 2 of them. He's running. His route participation is close to 100%. That's what you want in your starting tight end. And he is the number 2 target on the team. So he checks all the boxes going forward. Definitely excited about him. He's somebody you want to spend fab on if he happens to still be available in your league. Good shit, Dan. We got to move on to Joey, right? We skipped you because Dan came on, so we'll go back to Joey. Hit your next point. I'm
gonna say is Evan Ingram number 2 now in Denver. I don't know if Mims or Franklin, either one's worth playing on a regular basis. I don't even know if you can play them as flex. I mean, Cortland Sutton was a steal. Shout out to Pete in the chat. You know, he tweeted out, which I took him in the 5th round in some drafts. That was a bit of a bargain. And I'm hoping Bo Nix starts playing better. He's got the Jets coming up this weekend, so hopefully he can have a good game. But I think Evan Ingram, if he's getting healthy, he might be your number 2 behind Sutton. I don't know if I can play. I don't think you can play Mims or Franklin and feel good about it. Well, what you all guys think, but
no, Cortland Sutton is the only safe pass catcher in my eyes. I like Evan Ingram because he's a tight end. He has been dealing with early season injuries, and we know that he just going by in the past. This is a guy that needs to be fully healthy to be all the way productive, to max out, to hit his ceiling, to hit his what he can do. So injuries definitely affect his game. Cortland Sutton had 10 targets, and Evan Ingram was next with 5. Marvin Mims had 5. And Troy Franklin only had 4. So Sutton with 8 receptions. Evan Ingram did find the end zone. So, the fact that during the first half, I texted my buddy Pete Nova. He's a Denver fan. And I said the fact that they can't figure out a way to get Evan Ingram involved, it makes me think that Sean Payton should get fired. I know that could be an overreaction, but, I fully expected him to be the number 2 target on the team coming into the season. I did think that there was an opportunity for one of the wide receivers to step up and maybe be fantasy relevant, like as a flex play, like you said, Joey, but it's hard to predict when they're going to pop. And, they have J.K. Dobbins has been killing it. He's been running like an animal. RJ Harvey he's really been the kind of a disappointment, much like Trevion Henderson. If they're not really finding a way to get him involved as much. I think a lot of that has to do with J.K. Dobbins being effective so far this year. Dobbins is a pretty solid RB2. So that's my thoughts on that. We got thoughts on Rico Dowdle. I believe Josh is going to touch on this next, right? Is that your next? Yeah. Yeah. Why don't we hit that thought now? Go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to hit on Rico Dowdle. He had a huge day. I think they said it was the biggest day for a running back since back in when the last time CMC was healthy for the Panthers, and I don't even know if then he had a game of 200. Was it 225 yards? Did he cap 200, or was that 225 yards total? Either way, it was a massive day, and it was big enough that for me and Dan, who have some shares of Chuba Hubbard, makes you a little nervous about was this a flash in the pan, or are we going to see Chuba lose some of his touches to Rico? See how they juggle that moving forward. But he looked really good, and I don't know, kind of makes you wonder why the Cowboys let him go. But
well, it was against the Miami Dolphins defense.
It was.
Throw that out there. But you're right, Josh. I do think he carved himself out a little bit of a share. It's probably going to be a committee approach when Chuba comes back.
At least for the next game or two,
Yeah.
you do that and you at least earn extra snaps for another game or two and see how you do.
Probably they won't rush him back after that game. I have Chuba Hubbard too. I said, see, they'll set him out next week.
And you know who he's got next week, don't you? The Dallas Cowboys.
Oh yeah, that's another
narrative. Put him down for 300 next week.
Oh God.
Yeah, he's definitely worthy of a lineup spot next week. Dallas defense is awful on all fronts. So, I like Rico Dowdle going forward. I think I have one share. I don't have much of them in high stakes. I was hammering him in the best ball drafts though, just because if he's part of a committee approach, I do know that he is capable of games like this. But you don't know when to start him. But for now, Chuba's out of the picture. He's got a good matchup upcoming. Definitely confident in Rico this week.
The other thing I was going to mention in that game was, of course, Darren Waller, who 5 targets, 5 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown. But the biggest thing I think was Malik Washington. That was a waiver wire target last week for the leagues that he wasn't already picked up and on a bench somewhere. He had 4 catches, but he had 0 yards, and that was a little bit shocking. You think he's going in and taking Tyreek's place, and he would at least get some, be good for 40 yards with those 4 catches or something. So.
Nice. The chat is timing these questions perfect because I'm going to be talking about Derrick Henry next. And since we got the question, I'll jump right to it. I would make this trade. Quinshon Judkins is matchup proof. He's the clear cut RB1 in Cleveland. He looks phenomenal. I don't have his numbers up in front of me right now offhand, but we discussed him last week. He's an RB1 going forward. And I would make this trade, especially this week. Let me get into my Derrick Henry here. So the first game against Buffalo, Derrick Henry ran for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. If you take away that game, he hasn't had a game where he's had over 50 rushing yards. He does have 2 fumbles. He's still averaging 5 yards per carry on the season, but that's what the Buffalo game factored in. If you take that game out, he's only averaging 3.2 yards per carry. I think a lot of it has to do with the Baltimore offense, just Baltimore being terrible right now with Lamar injured. And just the game script's not calling for it. Derrick Henry is the kind of guy that kills it when Baltimore builds a lead and they use him to close out the games. That's not happening right now. They're 1-4 through 5 weeks. Next matchup is the LA Rams. They've been stingy against the run. They only allow 3.5 yards per carry. They've only given up 2 rushing touchdowns this season. With Lamar pretty possibly missing another game. If you don't have a startable option on your bench, anybody really, that could get you somewhere between 7 to 12 points, I'd consider playing them over Derrick Henry next week. I'm keeping Henry out of my lineup for sure next week. As far as the rest of the season goes, I do think eventually Baltimore will get back on the right track. But it's we can see it clear as day. Derrick Henry and Father Time have finally met. He's definitely not that clear cut RB1 anymore. I know that we used high draft capital on him. You used at least a early second round pick. Sometimes in the first, depending on where you were drafted. You have to roll with them after week 6. Like I said, week 6 is just awful for him. The Rams are playing well too. I don't see Baltimore being in this game with Lamar Jackson being out. He's basically a low end RB2 going forward. That's kind of how I see him. You have to start him. You invested the draft capital in him. You kind of have to die with them, unless you're one of those Omari and Hampton builds. Even him missing time like later on. I'm talking like later on in this. Not Omari and Hampton. Quinton Judkins. If you have one of those deep Quinton Judkins builds when he was going in like the 11th, 12th round. And he bailed you out, or maybe you took J.K. Dobbins, he bailed you out, Javonte Williams. Unless you have those guys, you got to kind of roll with Derrick Henry going forward. I don't see any other way around it. But next week, definitely not confident in him. And I definitely do not expect those big 25-plus point weeks unless it's against a terrible run defense. And a team that Baltimore can beat. So that's kind of how I'm.
With Cooper Rush, you can just stack the box. I mean, will they go back to Huntley? Is he still there?
Keaton Mitchell's in the picture now too, and he looked like he had a little bit of juice, but at the same time, I mean, without Lamar Jackson there, it's just not the whole running games is just. It's looking bad. Not J.K. Dobbins. Was the
Justice Hill?
Justice Hill. Yeah, he's the only one I would consider as like a bye week filler, and it's because of the game script and the fact that he catches passes. There could be a game where he gets 5+ receptions and gets you to that 10-point benchmark, which is what you're looking for when you're playing your RB3s and your RB4s. But it's not looking good for Derrick Henry overall going forward. Well, we got Dan. Dan, you're up next. What's your other take?
Yeah, and just to follow up on that trade question, I think there's only probably a handful of running backs I would take over Judkins right now. I probably count them on one hand. So, man, great trade offer. Take it.
Yeah.
It's taken you 58 minutes to beat Josh up on his Cincinnati Bengals this week. I haven't heard any Bengals talk unless I missed it.
Well, you said you were taking the Bengals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't want them.
I don't want to talk about them either. They cost me fucking Jonathan Taylor.
But I want to talk about a couple things because I've read a little bit on Twitter this morning. I had a long day at work, had a few minutes I could read some comments, had a few buddies asking me. I'm seeing all this Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, all this talk. Guys, I've been a Bengals fan for 42 years. We're sticking with Zach Taylor. We're sticking with Jake Browning. I hate to break it to you. But and I'm going to give Josh kudos because he kind of pointed this out to me last week. We had a couple really tough matchups, and then including this week and including next week in Green Bay. But there's a stretch coming up. And I think you're going to see more of the fourth quarter Bengals you did this week than the first 3 quarters. I'm not saying they're going to win games, but the game script's going to allow Jamar Chase to get his, T. Higgins to get his. Chase Brown had 7 catches this week. I know it was only 21 yards, but they're actually getting him involved in the passing game. The same thing happened last year where it took Zach Taylor, 7 or 8 weeks to get off of Moss and on to Chase Brown. So guys, don't give up on them. As a reminder, the next week's the Packers. Then the 3 weeks after that, they have home games against the Steelers, Jets, and Bears. I think Browning can get – I don't want to say get right, but he can get you some statistics, so don't give up on those guys. And if you do manage to make the playoffs, you got to be unique in the NFC. So if you can get through with T. Higgins or Chase Brown, their 3 playoff games are the Ravens at home, whoops, and my thing went away. The Dolphins and the Cardinals.
Yeah, this is why I was on the Bengals, man, and during draft season.
If you can make it to it, then you've got some great matchups. That Chase Brown might be relevant. T and Jamar will be definitely relevant. So, as an NFL team, they look like crap. But in that fourth corner for fantasy, I think we're going to start seeing that more and more each week. And like I said, you're going to keep seeing Browning and you're going to keep seeing Zach Taylor. As much as I would love to see Jameis Winston, I'd be the first guy to buy a jersey come to Cincinnati, but I don't think you are. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But we haven't made a trade in 40 years that I can remember. So that's my thoughts on the Bengals.
We're stuck with them, and the reoccurring theme here is the fourth quarter junk points, and we'll take them. They'll figure things out. Jamar Chase is trying to have the right attitude and be a leader. Let's just hope they make it through Green Bay without any devastating injuries, and then maybe we can have some fantasy goodness out of them.
And that division is still in their reach.
Yeah,
I mean, even as bad as they're playing, they're not totally out of it just yet.
That's why anyone with common sense would go and trade for a stinking quarterback that can look past the first read.
Not going to do it.
I mean, the Steelers' defense is not like usually was. I mean, it's not dominant. I mean, the Ravens is done pretty much. If they lose this week, they're done.
Yep.
The Browns' defense is tough. Oh, wait. The Bengals beat them already once this year. Like the team that we can't beat. So, yeah, they should be – they still have something to play for, even without Joe, if they can somehow put it together. But, I mean, yesterday was the first time that I've seen the Bengals Stadium since the year that we went to the Super Bowl. That's the first time I've seen our stadium that was even a quarter way full of the other team's fans. The fan base has given up, and if they don't win a couple games, the players will be right behind it.
Who would have thought that Aaron Rodgers by default is the best quarterback in that division?
Dan's a huge Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I'd rather have Russell Wilson.
Right. I mean, it would be worth a shot. I mean,
let's see. We got a trade assessment question in the chat. We got Jordan F. Appreciate you tuning in, man. He traded Genty, Nico, and Ja'Cory Crosby Merritt for Jonathan Taylor and Emeka Egbuka. Good or bad trade? Go ahead, Dan.
I take the JT side. JT over Genty, Egbuka over Nico, and then that's Bill, right? JCM.
Yeah.
I'll throw in Bill. I'll take the JT side all day myself.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Bill, we got to talk about his takeover in the backfield. I like the JT side too, simply because Jonathan Taylor is clearly the best player in the trade. Nico's kind of having a down season based on his standards, although I do think that he is the one constant in that offense. So, he does bring a consistent floor. Ja'Cory Crosby Merritt is officially taken over the backfield, in my opinion. When I look at Washington's RB stats from metrics from last week, Bill played 28 snaps. Chris Rodriguez played 15, and Jerry McNichols played 15, 13 of those with passing downs. So McNichols is playing exclusively on passing downs. With that being said, Bill also played just as much passing downs as McNichols. Nobody really, blew had a lot of receptions, what's the word I'm looking for? Nobody impressed in the passing game for running backs. Chris Rodriguez only had 5 carries for 7 yards. Jared McNichols only had 1 rush for 6 yards. Bill had 14 carries, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he also added 2 receptions for 39 yards. Now, I said this, I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. I thought that eventually he would take over. He's easily the most talented back that they have. It just was about him getting acclimated, getting used to the NFL, earning the trust of his coaches. The Austin Eckler injury helped out for sure, because Austin Eckler, one of my dings against Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt was Eckler having a role in the offense, a permanent role, not just a game script role, but like actually part of the game plan. Austin Eckler is we know he's out for the year. So going forward, I love JCM. He's the sweetener in that trade that we just went over that gets the deal done. So
Jaden Daniels opens up so many lanes for him.
Yeah.
No different than Lamar Jackson opening up bigger lane holes for Derrick Henry. But Daniels is going to help him out a lot.
Makes the defense play honest. Nobody's afraid of Marcus Mariota throwing the ball, or you know.
Hypoglycemic is happy about your Bengals talk, Dan.
Stay with it.
I am too. As a Chase Brown, I have a ton of Chase Brown. So the 7 receptions was nice to see, even though, like you said, they were all small gains, 21 yards, but still seven catches in a PPR league get you 7 points. The fact that they're all garbage points in the fourth quarter, like you said, yeah, definitely feeling better about Chase Brown. He's not going to be the RB1 ceiling we drafted him as, but low end RB2 going forward. That's so. Did we touch all of our talking points? Does anybody have anything left over? No. All right. Why don't we give some quick thoughts on tonight's game real quick? Kansas City, Jacksonville. Joey, wait, you got any thoughts? Who you got winning this game? Unfortunately,
the Chiefs. I'm not a Chiefs fan at all.
Yeah, neither am I, but I picked them too to win the game. I will say this. I am looking forward to see Brashad Smith if he gets more involved. That's one thing I'll be looking out for tonight. I'm not buying the Xavier Worthy questionable crap. I think he plays and has a good game. But yeah, definitely one thing I'll be looking for is Brashad Smith. I want to see him get involved. Pacheco has been not impressive. Kareem Hunt is like a goal line back, in my opinion. I don't, short yardage in between the tackles, goal line back. I think that, and now is the time, we can see Brashad Smith earn a role in the offense. Josh?
Well, if that Brashard Smith goes anything like the Woody Marks talk, I'm going to go place a bet on Pacheco right now.
But I started Woody Marks the week he scored 27. I was already playing him, so this feels like a similar week. Maybe go throw what's the over under on receptions for Brashad Smith tonight? Anybody take a look at that?
Let's see here. Let's see real quick.
What's over 3.5 get?
Is that what it is? 3.5?
I don't know, but I'm thinking four is within reach.
It is.
Oh, we got a guy. He wants to know. He said that he replaced Worthy last night in a panic. He's down 20 in a full PPR league. He now has a choice to start Xavier Worthy or Travis Etienne in the flex. What do I do? Che Ambrose. Appreciate you tuning in. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the Sports Affiliation if you're not subscribed. We do shows every night. Sometimes there's more than one. We're doing good stuff. Definitely want to tune in.
Both is good matchups. I mean, Jacksonville's 23rd against the pass, and Kansas City's 24th against the run. So it is a tough question. That's a tough one.
Is this game in Arrowhead, or is it
Jacksonville?
It's in Jackson. That's right. What about the weather? Is it raining? I thought my buddy Steve, before we came on, he was on a show doing a reaction show, and he lives down in Florida. And he said he was available to do the show because his son's baseball game got practice. He said it's raining cats and dogs down there. So
I hope it is because I'm playing Kansas City defense, not the Bullet.
Well, so the way to beat Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and these guys is to keep them off the field.
Yeah.
And no matter how Trevor Lawrence is playing, Liam Cohen he's smart. He's a smart guy, right? Like their coach is a smart guy. So, I mean, I want to say that if the Jaguars can have their way, they're going to be getting ETN the ball and keeping Patrick Mahomes on the bench. So I don't know. Go with ETN and party on, Wayne.
I think ETN might be the safer floor play, and Worthy might have higher upside.
Yeah.
So if you need
There's
20,
weather, though.
yeah, I know that, but the weather might favor Worthy. He's good with the ball in his hands. So
That's a tough call.
it is a tough call because ETN has broken off a big play in pretty much every single game. You know, he's been highly efficient with his runs. You know, I think he has 20 plus yard run in every game this season. So if he can, you know, I'm surprised that Kansas City is 24th in rush defense actually, because they've been pretty solid the last couple of years against the run. So that's kind of shocking to me. My initial thoughts here is to lean Worthy, but I think this might be a flip a coin situation.
I mean, if you get 8 for 60 and a touchdown, is that 20?
That's 20. Yeah, you need a lot of receptions for sure. Yeah, ETN's probably the safer call here. I mean, ETN could catch some passes too, you know, in this type of a game if the weather is inclement. So I mean, I know we didn't give you a clear cut answer, Jay, but you know, go with your gut. Go with your gut on it. If you're leaning ETN, then that's your gut feeling. Then go with ETN.
ETN's broke 20 points 2 times only. 21.6 and 22.5.
And Xavier Worthy.
That's what I'm gonna look. But I know he was out of the games.
If ETN doesn't score, he's not getting to 20. I don't think so. If
I don't think so
touchdown, you almost gotta throw the dart at Worthy. If it was 15, you go ETN.
I agree.
That's what I'm saying. Worthy's got the higher overall upside. There's Xavier Worthy. I'm going to look at his points right now throughout the season.
Let us know who you sit so we can bet the other way.
Yeah.
That's how it works for me.
Little ET phone home.
Appreciate you tuning in, man. If you like what you're hearing, hit the like button, subscribe to us. Cost you nothing to subscribe. You just have to hit a button. But we're 1 minute away from kickoff, so we're going to close this thing out. I'm going to add one more thought, and it's for Mike Vrabel. You watched A.J. Brown kind of lay down on Jalen Hurts. He's not happy. We need another wide receiver. We just beat the Buffalo Bills, God damn it. We are 1 game away from being tied with them in the standings. We're in a pennant race, if that's what you want to call it. I know that's not what you call it in the NFL, but we're now in a pennant race, and we need that guy. So go out.
I don't know. Diggs and A.J. Brown in the same room. I don't know about that.
Listen, A.J. Brown doesn't have to be the alpha. He just has to be happy and with his buddy Vrabel. We know that they have a history from Tennessee. We know that there was rumors in the offseason that we were going to trade for him during the draft. I didn't buy into it because Philadelphia is in position to run it back, and why would they trade one of their key pieces when they're still intact to go back to win another Super Bowl? But clearly, his actions are affecting that entire offense, including Jalen Hurts, and maybe pick up the phone and see if they want to get something done. That's my last thought. Dan, appreciate you joining us late. Josh, great show, man. Good info.
Thanks for having me.
Joey, you're the man. Appreciate you joining. We should all be here again next Monday. We're going to go watch the Kansas City-Jacksonville game now. You gentlemen have a good night. Everybody in the chat, have a good night, and we're out of here.